short notice on the live stream. We'll give it a few minutes for the word to get out and people to roll in.
There it is. Well, we're warming up here. We're actually what about 50 degrees? It's better than that 20 and 10 degrees we were having here in Alabama.
Yeah, we've been doing the swing. It was 20s a couple of days ago, and it's supposed to be freaking 80 by Thursday, and then back down in the 30s again by first of next week. So
We've got flash flood warnings here. We're going to get a lot of rain in a couple of days through the weekend.
that's what rain's coming in here this weekend
Yeah.
that you're getting now. So we'll give it a few minutes, let everybody get rolled in here.
All right.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Let me where's that? Let's add that in there. Looks like there's a few folks trickling in.
I'm not seeing anybody yet. Oh, 7. Okay, we got 7.
Yeah. We'll let me do a couple of things here. Need to send it out to a couple of folks real quick, and then we'll get to go.
Crystal's on. Good evening, Crystal. Hope you're doing
Crystal.
good.
All right, I'll probably send a few more out. Crystal's up there taking care of all the small humans.
Mm-hmm. Because they're saying Trump won the New Hampshire primary already.
Oh, he did? I was wondering if that was going to, if they'd already called it early or not. Interesting.
Yeah, they did.
Not
a little bit close with it. Like,
not unsurprising at all.
Yeah.
See, we'll give it just another minute or two before we start getting too deep into stuff. Don't intend to make this one a long one. If y'all that are just tuning in, all right, you need to be quiet. It's like running Grand Central
I've been wearing the new jacket. I like it.
We're going to talk about that soon. I got to get a little more info on it before we do. Well, frozen pipes are a thing, Crystal.
Yeah, we didn't have any, but people around here sure did. It got cold. Our power went out the coldest day. They've got so many up in Huntsville. They put so many houses in here, and the infrastructure can't support it. And when it got real cold, we lost power 3 times. So
yeah, that's
went out and got the little buddy heater just in case, but we didn't have to use it. So
yeah, we didn't get that bad, but we were down into upper 20s.
Yeah, we got down to 4 degrees one night.
That's getting a little bit frosty.
Yeah, that was frosty. That was frosty.
All right.
I even had ice on my driveway this morning. It's gone now.
Yeah, our humidity's been so high that the nights that it did get down below freezing, it looked like snow everywhere from all the frozen frost on everything.
Yeah.
It says we got 18 in. Let me give it just another minute. See if it bumps up to 20. And I don't want to waste too much time. So, just some odds and ends stuff we wanted to go over tonight with everybody. Nothing overly earth shattering or specific. Um, one little thing we did. So a couple weeks ago, Noel and I had a little get together with our folks. Spent the weekend in the woods, and not gonna obviously share too many of the details, but we had a good time and got a little bit
Very
accomplished.
yeah.
Mr. Holeby, how are you? But and something that we talked about while we were there. Um, you know, get out with your folks and do stuff, even if it's just
hmm
families or a like-minded friend or neighbor or something. I mean, the more the better, obviously, but you got to get out and do stuff. You got to not be afraid to get out as well and meet people and actually do things. I mean, you can sit around and watch all the videos you want, you can read all the books you want, but unless you actually get out and do things, you're never going to be. You'll be far more down the road by doing the stuff than just reading or watching about it.
Yeah.
And you can't discount even the littlest things. Just, I mean, like, uh, again, not too many details because it's going to be an upcoming video, but Noel and I had some new jackets that we were trying out. Well, the only way you try them out is get out and do stuff and put them on and wear them while we're doing stuff, and then we can see how
Yes,
they
yeah, they
work
are.
as far as
Yeah.
how they handled the cold, the wind, the rain, the heat, all the above. Oh, and believe me, Crystal, I feel you. I completely feel you on that because I'm the older I get, the more of a introvert I become.
hmm
But uh, fortunately, this was all just with our people that I'm relatively comfortable around anyway. But yeah, we had a good time. Got some stuff done. Did a couple of little informational blocks, but went over some different things that we wanted to focus on and kind of get people tasked on. And we got some infrastructure things done and taking place, which is all huge stuff that's got to be done. And there's only so much you can cram into a weekend, though. I mean, because we've all got jobs and have to work and have to pay the bills, and so we cram in what we can. But even for just the 2 days that we cram stuff in, it's still worthwhile. And there's always stuff that you walk away with as far as lessons learned. Some small ones, some big ones. Just it varies. And one of the points of focus on that. um, yes, you are out in the woods right now. I know exactly where you're at. Thinking you being all sneaky sliding in here like that. But well, before I get into that, there's a number of things that Noel and I wanted to put out that we've got coming in the coming months. I'm not going to give you a time frame because it'll all depend on how our schedules sync up and what we can get done. But we got a number of videos we want to do. Um, a lot of them are just to be more educational and scenario based kind of stuff that we want to try to show you, to primarily just put stuff in your heads. Here's how you would go about doing this. And any of our folks that we can get together to do it with, we will, but it'll vary depending on the topic and subject. Um, Going back to the previous part, there's a lot of things going on right now that Noel and I were talking about before we come on. I'm sure most of you that are watching this by now are probably paying attention and following, but on the off chance that you're not, there's some very concerning things going on in the world. Um, from right here on our own doorstep to all the way around the globe, and we could spend hours diving into each one of them. But the bottom line is, regardless of what the concern might be, start now and make sure you're doing all the things that we've talked about for years. And like I said in the past, look at it like you're preparing for a hurricane to come in. Make sure you've got food put away that you could live off of for weeks to months, however. Um, buy an extra canned stuff at the store every time you go. Whatever your favorite foods are that you eat, buy an extra can of it or two and just stick it on the shelf. It's as simple as that. You don't have to go all crazy and extravagant. Can if you want to, but you don't have to. Make sure you've got the ability to have water. Make sure you've got the medical supplies and stuff. Keep any of your medications and stuff that you normally take stocked up on hand as best you can. Over the counter medications, all those things that we talked about ad nauseum. But as you get all that stuff, again, get out and do things. Don't just sit behind the computer. Heck, I've got tons of books right here that we've talked about before that I read and reread, and it's great. But unless you get out and do stuff, and it can be as simple as, and I know there's somebody watching right now that'll understand and chime, or will not chime in, but get what I'm saying. It can be as simple as just taking a weekend camping trip. I mean, little things like that can show you, hey, if all I had was this, what would I need? Because if you think about going on a camping trip, you don't have all the luxuries of home. Like you can't just, oh crap, I forgot this and go run in the other room and get it. You're away somewhere that whatever you've got is what you've brought with you. Well, that's a good chance to try things out and try clothing out, try yourself out. Go on a find a campground somewhere that's got a bunch of hiking trails. Go on a hike. If halfway through the hike you're keeling over dying, well, that might be a clue that you want to start working on the physical side a little bit more. Getting used to doing things without things. Again, being out camping, learning how to make a meal off of I don't know a Coleman gas camping stove, which Noel and I did a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Now, fortunately, we've got a couple of folks that are really good cooks, regardless of what you put in front of them. In particular, one Spaniard dude that knows how to cook some pretty good stuff. We don't. I mean, I feel bad sometimes saying that we're out in the woods camping, quote unquote, because we've gotten far past the point of actually roughing it anymore.
Well, yeah. So if I can interject, we've had this conversation, and how long have we been doing this? You've been doing it longer than I have, and then I got in the group, and we've been doing it for several years now. And we talked about, hey, this place has come a long way. We stuck with it, and some parts were slower than others, but we got an infrastructure, and that didn't happen overnight, guys. It doesn't happen overnight, and we just kept plugging at it. And another thing that you plug at is like your equipment. Take your stuff out, use it. Figure out what jacket literally keeps you the warmest at night. That's relatively light. Work those things out. And I'm going to make a point to say it every video, and I'm going to say it now. Get away from the computer program or computer key, the keyboard, and go out and do these things that you see, because you're not going to get any better if you don't. Put that equipment on, make sure it's fitting right, make sure that the rucksack getting too heavy or too light. I mean, all these things. Zero your weapon, continue to zero your weapons. And it ain't all about patrolling and weapons, but that's the part where you got to make fit, because when it comes time for those things, you better bring your A game. So
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of room for error there. And
yeah,
and the clothing again, just taking out what you've got and seeing how it works, and do it when it's cold, rainy, whatever, because that's when you're really gonna find it out. Um, I think we had a couple of different folks that had a couple of revelations on some clothing, because we went from it was upper 60s when we started,
mm-hmm.
and it was 24 when we
Yeah,
when we were wrapping up.
yeah.
So pretty good swing there of what was going on weather-wise. And you know uh, like I said, Nolan, I've got some new jackets that we were trying out, and again, we're going to do a separate video on this. I don't want to get too deep down the rabbit hole on them, but one of the things that I noticed about it is this particular jacket does everything for me that my beloved, my tried, my true, my friend, my M65 field jacket does.
Can we say that on YouTube? That's like
Yeah,
sacrilegious, but I'll go with you on that because I have one of those jackets too. So
I know, and I love my M65. I've been
I
using them since I
yeah,
was a
yeah.
freaking teenager. Um, but it worked. This new jacket worked better because it allowed me to tailor for the changing
Yeah.
temperatures. It also packs way, way, way smaller and way, way, way lighter.
Yep.
So if I actually have to like completely take it off, I can stick it in my backpack, and I didn't just stuff, a freaking 50-pound weight ball in there that's taking up, 3/4 of the pack and weighs a ton. This one's way,
Yeah, it is.
way, way lighter.
It's got cool
But
pockets to
but
it.
but it was really effective at layering, at stopping the wind. Um, somebody's giving spoilers away in the chat that you see who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sweetheart. Y'all be careful. The boss is in the chat
Yeah,
watching. So
we gotta watch what we say.
yeah. So what Roasted Out Revival's saying? That's a buddy of mine, and I know where he's at camping right now. Um, they went from, I think when he got there the other day, it was pretty chilly and being bundled up, and like right now he's in shorts. That's the kind of
Yeah.
temperature swing that it had. So the only way you get any kind of experience doing that stuff is to get out and do it. Just straight up get out and do it. Whether it's staying in a tent, whether it's using a camper, whatever. There's always things to be learned, and you can use a tent. Have done it for many, many, many years. Have had some great times in tents, and I'm at the age now, and I think Noel will agree that I'm starting to get a little bit too white in the chin to be staying on the ground in a tent any more than I have to.
Tent. Unless something really bad happens, hopefully the tent has seen its day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll do it if I have to because
Yeah.
I know I can. But if I got a choice,
I mean,
I'm
there
I'm
still
I'm
may
liking other options better now.
there still may be. I'm sure that if things go bad, there'll be a time that we'll be on a poncho hooch, but then we can go back to things that aren't made of
That
cloth. You know what I mean?
I can do an overnight in the poncho hooch if I have to, but especially if I know it's an overnight and I got something I can get back
That's
to.
exactly right. That's my point.
You
Yeah.
know, I'm not leaving that and going back to the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what else? Back to the news real quick, and Noel, you can chime in whenever you need to.
All right.
There's a lot of stuff that you really should keep an eye on right now, and I would encourage you, because this is easy to do. It's easy to look at some of this stuff and get overwhelmed with it and go, well, I can't do nothing about none of that, so I'm just not going to do anything at all. And that's an easy place to go to. And excuse me, I understand when people go there, but you have to not look at it as, yes, there's nothing that any of us individually can do about most of these situations that's going on. However, there's a whole lot we can do to better prepare to take care of ourselves and our family and our loved ones if the worst, God forbid, should actually happen. And that's only prudent to take those steps and those plans now, especially when you see potential trouble coming. It makes sense to, start planning. I'll back to the medication thing is just a small example. When you know there's a hurricane coming, and you might be without power potentially for days, weeks, whatever. Most folks that are paying any kind of attention will go make sure they've got extra medications, especially like prescription stuff, because most doctors and pharmacies will fill extra prescriptions in the event of a storm coming or something like that. So do those kind of things across the spectrum, but specifically some of the things that we want to make sure that y'all are watching and just being aware of. You've got things happening down in Texas. For those of you that might not be up on it, at Eagle Pass, Texas, which is one of the border crossings that the almighty imperial federal government used to control, the state of Texas went in with the National Guard and says, no, this is ours, thank you, goodbye, and kicked the feds out. The feds stomped their feet and threw a hissy fit, ran crying to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court gave them an emergency ruling and said, okay, Texas, you need to turn this back over to the feds. And Texas said, no, I don't think we will. And then went a step further and put up even more razor wire and other things than what they already had put up. So Texas is literally giving like shades of Fort Sumter vibes, for lack of a better way of phrasing it.
Defying.
With straight up defying, the federal government. That could go all kind of crazy ways. On the same topic of the border, guys, gals, if you're not paying attention to the flow of illegals that has been coming over the border in the last 4 years alone, it's staggering when you start seeing the actual numbers, and about 90 some odd % of them are not people that want to come here and be our friends.
Right.
There's one that just happened to get interviewed by just some random guy that went down to the border and was, talking to all the ones that are already come across. They're already in the country. And he just happened to ask questions of this one dude that looked Middle Eastern. And he talked to him, and the guy started giving him a big spiel. You're going to know who I am, and you're going to know it real soon, blah, blah, blah. Well, a lot of folks took that guy's picture from the video and went and did a bunch of digging, and turns out he's a big time known terrorist in a whole bunch of other countries. He literally just got out of prison in another country this month for terroristic acts. He is tied in with a bunch of Iranian groups and all kind of other groups. He is not a good guy. He is not here to be your friend, and he is not here to assimilate into American society. And there's probably thousands more just like him. If you don't think that at some point they're going to be a problem, then you're wrong. Um,
You know, John, so just before we got on, we do something that we do a lot. We talk about the events we make, and we actually a lot of times just kind of do an assessment. And so you guys can do an assessment and like what are the threats out there? You got terrorist threat. You got like John just said. You've got things from natural disaster threats. You've got if you want to go the EMP, if you want to go the solar flare, if you want to go civil unrest, you're going to. What we always usually get to is that you circle back around and what do you need? You basically need the basics. You need food, water, medicine, like John just said. You do need to be able to protect your family or your group. You're going to be able, like I said before, if you talking firearms, you better be good enough to bring your A game and the equipment that facilitates that. So, do an assessment, figure out what you need. You can't plan for every single contingency like the government can. But if you have the basics and you have some basic working knowledge of some things, you're going to be a lot better off than your neighbor that's not done anything at all. And if you have a group like we do, man, and I'm talking if you got three guys or three families that want to do something, you can move a lot of stuff. You can move the world with that. So,
there
just
is
do an
so much
assessment.
to be said, so much to be said for finding somebody to do something with, because, like you said, just one or two other families, um, that's an easy fix for a whole lot of things, including like if it gets dangerous enough where somebody needs to always be awake. Well, if you've got three or four other people, that makes it a lot easier for
It
you to
does.
actually go to sleep at some point
Hmm.
because there's other people that can stay awake. It's simple things like that. Um, you mentioned a good one, Noel. A lot of folks might not even know this, but um, one of the largest ever recorded solar flares just popped off the
It
sun,
did.
and by the grace of God, just happened to miss us, and it was a close miss. It was strong enough; it would have sent us back to the 18th century or
Right.
1800s, rather,
Yeah.
not 18th century, 1800s, easily. And that's one of those acts of God that you're not going to have a whole lot of warning on that coming. So
We've come really close a couple of times. Really
yep,
close. And it's
really close.
coming.
And whether it's something like that or a man-made event or chaos or whatever, the end result's going to all be the same. Like the threats are going to be the same. The stuff you're going to want to have and need to have is going to be the same. You know, so don't get focused on any of those individual threats. I mean, again, none of us can do anything about those.
And
Can't,
it's not just the threat itself. For instance, okay, let's say some solar flare EMP takes out the power grid. Okay, it's this that's not going to kill you. What's going to kill you is the secondary effects. Your neighbor that runs out of food, your lack of
gets
medicine and preparing for whatever happens to your kids. A kid breaks his leg and has a compound fracture. You got a problem there. You know, so it's the secondary effects that are the ones that are going to come up throughout the duration of time and are going to mess with you and really going to hurt you.
and, and and it doesn't have to all be doom and gloom either, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like have friends that you can do stuff with that you can hang out with and enjoy. Like, yeah, our weekend a couple of weeks ago, we got some things discussed and some little blocks of things done, but we also had a nice night of eating some good food and sitting around a fire
Yep.
and talking and
Getting to
hanging
know
out,
each
and
other again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you can enjoy doing this stuff. It doesn't have to be all, oh my God, negative all the time. There could be a lot of positives of it, of just getting to hang out with like-minded people and enjoying each other's company. And it makes it easier to enjoy each other's company when okay, something does happen, I got people I can
Yeah.
rely on.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes back to what I was saying in the beginning of, find somebody that you can start doing things with. Again, a friend, a neighbor, somebody at church, whatever. And there's all kind of ways you can strike up those conversations. But it's too much for us to get into tonight because, excuse me, dinner talking to me.
Yeah, me too.
Because we don't want to be on all night long here. We've both got to work in the morning and got to get some sleep. And at our age, we need lots of sleep these days. So
I roll out of bed really slow nowadays.
there's somebody I was hoping would pop in.
Yeah,
Glad to see you, brother. We missed having you a couple of weeks ago,
we did.
but I already told you that. So hoping you can come participate with us next time. Um, if y'all don't follow Palmetto Dissident, go pull up his channel and check it
I
out.
like his new name.
Yeah, he's somebody I consider another really really good friend that
Yeah.
I would have his back in a heartbeat, and I know he'd have mine. So, um, what else? Oh, this is everybody's favorite topic here, and by favorite I mean absolutely not, because it drives me batty too. But unfortunately, is one of those elephants in the room that we got to address. So, regardless of how you feel about him, it's looking more and more like Trump's going to be the Republican nominee. Now, I don't care whether you like him or not. Um, and before anybody accuses anything one way or the other, there's things about him I like, and there's things about him I don't like. I went down both roads. But the point is, it looks like he's going to be the nominee. I find it to be a very, very strong possibility that the not only the leftists and the communists, but the rhinos inside the Republican Party itself are going to probably do everything they can to torpedo and sabotage his his campaign. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways they can do it. Some I don't want to talk about on air like this, but other things, a lot of folks smarter than me have already war gamed this out, and some folks that I know directly that are in positions to know have already said that there's a very strong likelihood of a repeat of events like in 2020, only on a like multi-magnitude greater scale. That there's a good chance that they could try to sow as much absolute chaos across the country as they can to disrupt people's lives, to disrupt the election, so on and so forth. Because if you think about it, the idea of him getting back in for them is absolutely terrifying. He's lived rent free in their brains for 4 years now. No one else has ever done that like that. There's a reason why they are so adamant about him getting back in. And if I had to guess, I would say it's probably because there's a strong chance if he's already seen some of the skeletons in the closet, and if he were to get back in power, he might, I'm not saying he might decide to start bringing a whole lot of those skeletons out into the public that a lot of people don't want to be made public,
Mm-hmm.
among other things. Point being, stay very, very frosty this year, and especially wary of any kind of black swan false flag type things, because just think about it. It would be a dream come true for them if they were able to foment a bunch of unrest and violence and just happen to get the right person that was at the end of their rope on any particular day and just said, enough's enough, I'm done with this nonsense, and do something drastic and take drastic measures, for them to be able to then start jumping up and down and pointing and screaming, see, that's what we're talking about. That's what these people are like. And it's really nothing more than them just creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. But that won't matter. The end result will still be the same of what they're trying to do and what they want to do. So stay very, very, very aware of what's going on domestically.
Well, and you and I've mentioned this to you too. Same as was Kemi. Kimmy Martin's in there. She said there may not even be a 2024 election, and there may not be with some of the events that could unfold. So, and that could mean a lot of different things. We'll just have to. You know what? I tell you what. I am so glad that I am living in this time and age, because this stuff is going to just. This is history in the making. You know what I mean? I'm drooling at the mouth to see what's going to happen. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I.
Yeah. No, I mean, it could go to one of two extremes really, really easily. And don't discount this either. Aside from the domestic stuff, do not rule out the chance of them getting us embroiled in another foreign conflict, another war, or even starting a world war to get chaos going, in an attempt to thwart and derail things. Yeah. Because
that's the oldest trick in the book.
Historically, people like wartime presidents. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a war broke out, the sitting president usually stands a really good chance of getting reelected. And it seems like they're intentionally doing things right now to try to get us stuck in a fight with somebody. And it's like,
yeah, they're trying hard. They're trying hard to get in a fight.
We are in so many places right now that we have no business being, doing things that we got no business doing. That it's like,
I agree.
But anyway, I mean, y'all get the point that we're trying to make. There's a whole lot of stuff to be paying attention to. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. Don't pay attention to it, but don't get overly focused on the potential bad stuff. Just recognize, okay, there is a potential for bad stuff. What can I do for myself and my family? Because again, we can't change any of this. We can't do anything about it. We can't stop it. But we can take care of ourselves. We can get ready to take care of our family. We can make plans now of how we're going to deal and handle with things, whatever our own individual situations may be. Like, you've got an older mother-in-law to worry about. So there's things that, talking to Noel, that he's got to take into consideration of, what he's going to need and have to do for her. Well, don't worry about the fact that, oh my God, it's going to be so bad. Well, what can you do to get ready to handle things if again, God forbid, the worst happens?
You bring up a good point, because I know that when I find an answer to a problem, or I do something to prepare myself for something that could go wrong, my stress level goes down. It does.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't be stressed out about certain things, but you hear certain things on the news or whatever, and you say, if that unleashes, that could be really bad. And then you say, well, how can I overcome that? Like a threat assessment, like I'm talking about. And then I do, or have a plan for it. And I'm like, okay, I got this. And I can sleep at night. So.
Okay. Somebody either physically does something to the power grid or hacks into it or whatever, and we're out of power on a wide scale basis. That would be absolutely horrible on so many levels. I can't stop that from happening. I can't do a thing about that. But I can make sure I keep all my gas cans from my generator topped off. I can figure out what kind of stuff I can run with my generator. I can come up with a plan to, okay, how can I extend my fuel supply and maximize my fuel supply with my generator so I've still got, some power to do things like, for example, something that we've done during some of the hurricanes. I'd run the generator for about 4 hours, and in that 4 hour time period was when we would take showers, keep all the refrigerators going. Anything that we needed to cook or get in and out of the refrigerators, we did it in that 4 hour window. That way, the refrigerators had time to cool back off after us opening and closing the doors. Um, we could run the well pump and take showers in that window, and then after that 4 hour window, turn it off for 4 hours, then back on for 4 hours, and doing that instead of just turning the generator on and just letting it run continuously nonstop, burning up fuel. Refrigerator and freezer will stay cold for 4 hours if you do all your goings in and out of it while you've got the generator running. But it's little things like that that can bring you a whole lot of peace of mind and do just like you said. It can de-stress you of, well, I can't control this, but I can control this. I can make this plan, and I know that I can have power still for X amount of
Yeah,
time.
you have a plan. I mean, if you have a plan,
Right.
Remember what was that saying? A well executed, a bad plan well executed is better than no plan at all.
Or it's better than a perfect plan never executed,
Yeah,
or
something like that. But have a
something like
plan.
that. Yeah.
Sleep at night. So
And again, just to re-stress on the food side, like, yeah, it'd be nice to go out and buy, a whole year's supply of freeze dried food and all that. But I mean, probably more of us than not don't have the liquid cash to go do that. Not to mention, if you suddenly went from your normal diet to just a freeze dried food diet, that's going to be a pretty big shock to your digestive system and your body in general. It's just as easy and far more economical to, back to what I said earlier in the stream, if you like freaking Chef Boyardee ravioli, right? Whenever you go to the store and buy you a couple of cans of it, whatever you normally get 1 or 2 cans extra. If the grocery store is running a buy one get one free on something like that, get extra, and find a place in your house. It could just be a freaking Rubbermaid bin in the corner, and start filling it up, but fill it up with the foods that you already normally like and eat. Canned foods have so much of a benefit in short to mid-term preparedness because you don't even have to cook them or heat them to eat them. They're perfectly edible right out of the can. Now, a lot of them are going to taste a lot better if you warm them up, but you don't have to use water to do that. Unlike freeze-dried meals, which there are some good ones, but you have to have water, so you're using up valuable water for those meals. Whereas canned stuff and other perishable stuff like that, you don't have to. And canned stuff lasts for a long, long time, especially if you keep it out of extreme heat and out of the weather. So a Rubbermaid tote in your garage in the corner full of canned stuff that all you need is a little manual can opener to pop open, and can literally set the can over a candle to warm it up if you needed to. Man, that goes a long way towards just being able to eat when other people are hungry and not having to rely on somebody else for food, because food is one of the number one ways of controlling a population if somebody wanted to control them when they otherwise didn't have the numbers to control a population. A small number of people can control a huge number of people if they control the food.
That's right.
So there was something I saw in the comments that two things. Yes, gardening and
Yeah.
canning. Start a small garden in your backyard. It doesn't have to be 5 foot by 5 foot, but you'd be surprised what you can do in a little space like that, or just some big pots. You can grow squash, tomatoes. We had great luck growing okra, which we ate like freaking popcorn. Um,
We had buku of
but
carrots, man. If I
yeah,
can grow a carrot, anybody can grow a carrot. I am not
yeah, I mean stuff
dumb.
like that. Um, what Zia was saying, the sleepers. There are well, we know there are sleepers here in the continental United States because the FBI has already admitted that years ago. There are far more now than there ever have been, and the election may be directly tied into that because somebody may foment something somewhere intentionally knowing that whoever they fomented something against would cause sleepers to activate here.
Hmm.
And what better way to sow chaos and mayhem than something like that? So it's all
Well,
tied in
just that
together.
one interview that you spoke of, that they interviewed that guy on the border. There you
Yep.
go. We know we got at least one of them.
And you can guarantee that guy didn't just randomly walk across the border with no place to
That's
go.
right. He's
I
got
can
some,
guarantee
and he's
you
got some backing. Absolutely.
he already knows exactly where he's going and who he's going to
Yeah.
see. That dude that interviewed him and all those other people that day just happened to get lucky in being there at the right place at the right time to talk to
Yeah.
that guy. So yes, we know there are those kind of people here. It doesn't even have to be foreign sleepers. We've got enough idiotic American sleepers here that'll burn down their own
Yeah.
cities on a dime, for absolutely zero reason whatsoever. Hello, 2020.
Hmm.
I mean, it don't even take outside influence at this point. You know, I've seen firsthand what Americans in America on American soil will do in a pretty catastrophic situation when they know things are going to get fixed and repaired. They know everything's coming back. And I've seen firsthand what they will
Yep. Me
do.
too.
You put those same people right here in this country in a situation where things have went bad and they don't know if, when, or how it's going to get fixed, they will go primal really,
Yeah.
really fast. Like stupid fast. So, um, what else? We can go down these rabbit holes all night. Um,
Covered most of what we talked about, I think.
yeah, I think we covered most of it. Again, um, on the other side of that, again, jumping back real quick, Noel and I've got a lot of stuff we've talked about doing. Um, we just have to find the time to do it because my work schedule and his work schedule don't always line up with each
Right.
other. And um, unfortunately, unlike some people, this stuff isn't what we do for a living. We just do this on the side because. So, you know, trying to take care of the actual job and life and all that, which still got to be lived.
Yeah.
As much as we talk about this stuff, we don't just stop living our lives. That's some stupid thing that gets, tossed around all the time. No, guys, you can still live your normal everyday life and
Hmm.
do your job and be with friends and family and enjoy life and still be prepared for stuff at the same time. It's a thing, and anybody that tries to tell you that it's not is intentionally trying to dissuade you from it. And you should ask yourself, why are they trying to intentionally dissuade you from it?
That's right.
Because there's probably a reason. Um, so we've got the videos coming up. We've got to figure some of that out logistic
And
wise,
some of the
time wise.
like John was saying, we're gonna we're gonna have some videos, and I think we got some ideas to make them kind of cool. But there's also going to be kind of a lessons in. to show you how things can be
Informational.
done. You know, planning, patrolling, you know, things like that. If you haven't done that, if you haven't like been in the military or gone to some classes, like, you know, one shepherd or something like that, you know, don't think that you're behind. So, you know, we'll put some of this stuff out to try and help you. Um, so
And I'll tell you on that front, the stuff that we want to put out is practical and informational. But if you're here looking for entertainment, then this ain't going to be it. Okay, go to one of the entertainment channels because that's something I'm going to have a real low tolerance for when it comes to the comment section. If you're expecting freaking 4K videography and super cool, flashy transition scenes and editing and intros and, you know, a Hollywood production, that ain't it. I could care less about the overall quality of that kind of stuff. We're going to be focused on the
the content.
information that we're trying to convey to you, the content itself. So I'm just putting that out there ahead of time so we can cut the head off of that little ugly snake before he ever pokes it into the room. Because the time for entertainment in that regards is over. Now, no, I'm not saying you can't go watch entertaining stuff for you short bus people. What I'm saying is you've got to start now differentiating between what you're watching and reading that's entertainment and what you're watching and reading that is practical, informational, and realistic. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of entertainers out there that people worship that aren't necessarily giving you actual viable information as much as they are just entertainment. And you've got to start separating that. That's the time for separating that is past. You got to get serious. And I mean, we're a little after 9, so we can probably wrap it up. But uh, what we're doing and have discussed, and I would encourage you to do something similar but formulate it on your own. We are looking at our window of being from now to October 31st. This is our window that our list of things that we want to get accomplished, and this is personally, that's our window that we're looking at doing it. As if November 1st is D-Day and we don't have any time after that. Set yourself a time frame like that. It'll make it feel a little bit more urgent to you, and it'll encourage you to actually do the things instead of putting them off. I'll wait a little bit longer, because a little bit longer starts stretching out and never getting done. Set yourself some time windows. Between now and this time, here's the things I want to get done. If November 2nd rolls around, December 2nd rolls around, whatever, and everything's fine, then hallelujah, praise the Lord. We got extra time and life's still going on. That'll be perfectly peachy fine with me. And I'm sure Noel would agree.
No, and one thing
But
I just want to dovetail on that. When you guys get together with your group, one thing that we found is put together literally a training schedule, put times on it to kind of keep everybody focused and moving in the right direction, hand it out to everybody so they know where they need to be. Because it's easy to, especially if it's cold, just to kind of stand around the campfire and just BS with each other. And so, you know, get just like John said, you know, here's that date, here's that goal. Well, what's the goal kind of at the end of the weekend or the training session? So I just throw that out there. And we do that.
right. The channel is whatever I want it to be because it's my channel. Hope that answers the question. I don't get painted into boxes. Let's see. I don't think I missed anything. Oh, I did miss this one. Constitutional Carpenter I get chef's ravioli by the 12. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that. My wife has been known to buy cases of the ravioli as well. Um, Especially when my boys were younger, they don't eat as much of it as they used to. Now they're a lot older, but when they were younger, boy, that was a staple for them. So we always kept plenty of it on there. Hang on a second. Log cabin, yeah. It Noel and I've got to sit down and actually make out a list, because we get all these ideas from stuff that we talk about internally, and hey, we should do something on that, and we want to do this for ourselves. Let's try to do some video on it, so in case anybody else has that same question or thought or wants to see it. But we have so much of that going on that we don't actually like make a list. And that's something that we're going to have to, he and I are going to have to start doing, and as we get with our folks, is actually make some list. Okay, we want to cover this and this and this and this and this, and go down the list. So that's that's something that we'll be adding on. Yeah. Yeah. I've talked with Medic a little bit myself, so I'm right there with you. Um, but let's see. I don't think there was anything else in particular I wanted to go over. Again, Nolan, I just wanted to put this one out there. Just we're gonna try to do these on a weekly basis, but understand it might not be every week, and there may or may not be heads up notice. Um, we oftentimes have to play it by ear the day of to figure out if we're going to be able to come on here and do these. But going forward through the year with what we see coming, we hope to be able to put something up here every week like this, just to kind of stay on top of things. But
And
again, it'll just be dependent.
and just like, I mean, the dude had you know questions what we do. So we're just talking right now about some general topics, but we have had and will do topic based discussions. This is just we have with the weather, with work schedules and everything. We hadn't been on for a while. We just want to do a short one, kind of gather people back up. But we do have literally a schedule, and certain topics, and we will be doing topical training or
Right.
conversations, discussions,
And
what have you.
it's gonna be across the board. Yes, we talk about the gear and the tactics and the defensive side of things a lot, because I freaking make gear for a living, so it's kind of my bailiwick. Um, you know, Noel and I both have some experience, him far more than me, but on those subjects and topics. So yes, that's something that we're going to do a lot of, but we're going to be talking about a lot of the other stuff too, because as I've told you guys ad nauseum, there's a whole lot to preparedness besides just the cool stuff, right?
Yeah,
There's a whole
we
lot.
we had a great discussion on the partisan, the other day.
Yeah, that I mean, there's a lot of stuff I want to get on medical wise. I've even talked with our doc, because yes, we have a doc in our crew.
Mhm.
I want to get some stuff done with him that we want to put up on the medical side, and maybe from an angle that a lot of other people aren't kind of coming at it from. I think they might have missed. Um, and just to touch on the previous question as well, no, it's not a religious channel. I am a Bible believing Christian, but
So
I'm
am I.
not I'm not here to preach to you about this. I'm not going to hide it, but I'm not here to preach to you either. So You either take me as I am and what I got, or you don't. Doesn't matter to me. I don't get paid to do this. So um, yes, Zia makes it. Noel and I have actually had that conversation. There's some stuff we want to do as far as like on the physical fitness side of things that we've talked about wanting to do that are going to come. Spoiler alert! It's going to come from a very practical angle of we work jobs and have families and responsibilities and lives. Um, we don't have the time nor the money to go sit in a gym 8 hours a day. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do and then come hammer you like you're some kind of lesser being if you can't go do an Ironman triathlon. That's freaking arrogant nonsense that we're not going to do. Not everybody's got the money or space to buy $5,000 worth of home gym equipment. We don't, neither one of us do. But there are things that you can do to work out and get in good practical shape, especially for your given situation. Like for example, Noel's got to take into consideration some things with his knees. I've got to take into consideration the titanium parts in my back. It's all stuff we have to take into consideration when we're doing things, but it doesn't mean that you still can't work out and be in good physical shape, but on a practical. That's one of the things that
And we're old
really
dudes.
tweaks. Yeah, I see uh, these guys that like to freaking virtue signal to you, about how awesome they are in the gym, and like they spend the majority of every day
Yeah.
in the
In the
gym
gym.
or whenever they want to. That's completely impractical for the vast majority of us. So that,
And the dude brings up a
yeah,
good point. Front lean and rest position. Hey, I've got some dumbbells, but I basically just do calisthenics. I mean, I, I it don't take a
do you
gym.
know do you know how much there is to be said for push-ups, crunches,
Yeah.
jumping jacks,
Maybe if you got a bar chin ups, I mean, simple stuff.
grabbing a concrete block and picking it up and down a bunch of
Yeah.
times?
Or a rifle, you know?
Or you're right. What's the number one tool that we use in basic training or used to use in basic training as a workout tool?
That's right.
You, you took your rifle and you did isometric stuff with it. You worked out with it. Well, that comes in real handy conveniently if the rifle happens to be one of the things I've got to tote and carry around all the time.
All day long. Yeah,
It
absolutely.
works. There's a dude that finally shows up, like right when we're fixing to clock out here, but we won't give him too much of a hard time
Yeah.
about it. We keep him around because we love his wife.
Yeah.
Zia, yes, throwing a backpack on and go walk the dog.
Yep.
That that is great exercise. It really
And,
is.
and if you don't want to put a backpack on, you go down to Walmart and get one of those vests that you put weights in it. You can put up to like 40 pounds in those things. That's crazy, you know?
Yep, and you can get the El Cheapo ones off of Amazon.
Yeah.
Again, it may be a Chinese piece of crap. It may fall apart in 6 months. But if it only cost you $20 and you get 6 months of workout use out of it, well, in 6 months, buy you another one.
Yeah.
It's better than wasting thousands of dollars on other stuff that you won't use. Um, that's possible to do. I know back in the day we were moving the state of South Carolina doing push-ups at a
Yeah.
certain time and place. Um, yeah, again, body weight calisthenics. I mean, and we're getting into all the stuff we're going, the Nola I've talked about doing a video on, but there are all kind of simple things you can do. Physical fitness, simple things you can do for uh, your food preparation, simple things you can do for your medical preparation, simple things you can do for your security training and security plans and defensive preparations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't all have to cost a fortune of your money and a fortune of your time.
Right.
In case y'all hadn't realized it yet, you will one day. Time is the most valuable thing you have,
You can never
like
get it back.
hands down. You spend it every minute, every second, and there's no refunds, no replacements, and you cannot get it back at all. So, all right, 20 after, we've been an hour and 5 minutes. I think that's probably long enough to waffle on.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all tuning in that did tune in. Again, we'll try to get back on here next Tuesday, Lord willing. We're just gonna play it by ear and see what happens. So until next time, y'all take care, stay safe as always. And Nola, is there anything you wanted to close out with?
Get out and do it for real. Get away
Yep,
from the keyboard and go do it.
yep. Get out and do it. All right, we will catch y'all in another one. See y'all later.
See you guys.